Good afternoon to all our listeners. It is the Red Stripe Premier League Roundup Show. I am Simon Preston and joined as usual alongside our expert Dwayne Richards from Yardie Sports. Dwayne, how are you doing? I haven't seen you all summer.
Yeah, it's been a long summer, an extendedly long summer, extended by this unexpected break, but we're back. We're happy to be back and looking forward to another good season in the Red Stripe Premier League.
Certainly, a lot has happened during that period of time as well. Our Red Stripe Premier League players has gone on international as well, done well for the country at the Gold Cup, the Caribbean Cup, etc. So we have a lot to be proud of looking ahead to this season.
Yes, we do. And the latest is Francois Selby. He's doing well overseas as well. His last club was Humberline. He's played for a number of clubs. His last club was Humberline, and he's moved on and he's doing well. So, it's good for local football when players go abroad and excel. It opens doors for other players to get a chance to do that as well.
Certainly. Before we have a look at what is to come for this season and also players who have been thriving as well, I want us to take a look back to that night, that Monday evening in June the 5th, where Arnett Gardens clinched their 5th title, now defending champions. Deserved winners at the end of the day, would you say?
Yes, they were. They were value for money. They did a really good job in claiming the title, and they had what we expected was an overwhelming support, and they got that another championship ring, and it's good to see them go out and do as well as they did based on the season that they had, because it was a terrible season in the run-up, but they got it right in the final round, the third round, and they went on from there, and it shows that they have the quality players, and when the situation is right, then they'll excel and get the trophy, and they did just that.
They certainly did, and even Coach Jerome Waite said that they're perennially slow starters to the season, but as the second and third round picks up, that is when they start to find their rhythm and form. And we saw that especially through the playoffs, getting past Montego Bay United, the defending champions from last season as well. That you could say was a pulling and catalyst for them to go on and win the title.
Yes, it was, because when you come against the defending champions, that is probably the sternest test that you'll face, and they were able to overcome them. And I think from there on, the confidence that they needed, they got it. And from there on, it was no looking back for them. They went on and they got the job done, and kudos to them.
And talk us through that goal as well from Marvin Morgan. In 2016, we saw a bullet from Michael Binns in Montego Bay. And now, a year after that, Marvin Morgan scoring the winner for his team, Arnett Gardens. We've seen quite a number of splendid goals throughout the Red Stripe Premier League over the years.
Yeah, I spoke to him after the final, and he said he dedicated that to the fans because, they had been through so much, and they'd weathered the storm with the team and come out in full numbers and supported the team. And he was happy to be able to get the job done. Marvin is somebody who has done very well at the schoolboy level. He's been abroad, he's played for a number of clubs, and he's now seeming to mature into the forward and the midfielder, because he plays both forward and midfield. He's now maturing into the player that we expect him to be. He received a national call-up from Theodore Tupper Whitmore, and we can only hope that that will continue, that he'll be able to stay in the minds of the selectors and be able to show that he's capable of getting the job done at the international level.
All right, let's look ahead to this season. As we know, the two teams that got relegated were Marvally Hewenden and Jamalco. They finished at the root of the table despite strong starts to the season. So the new teams this season, Sandals, the South Coast, and in addition to them is Cavalier. What are your expectations from these two newcomers who did so well in the leagues that they progressed through?
Well, Sandals has no pedigree, so for them it's going to be a brand new time in a big league. They'll have to adjust quickly. We saw last year Jamalco, they came in the same way, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. They had a fantastic start and they got caught up. They admitted to getting caught up. People got swell-headed and they could not recover after they hit the wall. They could not recover and they spiraled out of control and they went back down. So Sandals will have to be very careful of that. But they have Aaron Lawrence, who is someone who has played at the international level for Jamaica, a World Cup veteran. He knows what he needs to do. So we can only hope that his experience will be able to transmit to his players and they will be able to weather the storm of a long league. It's a long league and people need to recognize that you don't win it in a day. It will not happen in a month either. You have to be very careful, pace yourself and find a way through the season. So he'll be trying to get his boys to understand that.
Certainly, and the Sandal South Coast, their first fixture, which should have been on September 3rd, as we know, they will actually start the season against Arnett Gardens. That, we could say, would be a baptism of fire for them to come up against the defending champions, Arnett Gardens, at Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. Not necessarily, you could say it's a hostile ground. The fans are very passionate, so it is a new opportunity for them in the league. We've seen some individuals on Sandal as well, Leonard Rankin, who has been involved in national camps as well. Aaron Lawrence, as you rightly said, has a calm presence about him as well. Was also Jamaica's coach at the under-15 level at the recently concluded CONCACAF Under-15 Boys Championship in Florida. So a lot is there to expect from him. What about Cavalier? We've seen them in CASAFA doing quite well in the different competitions. Jackie Bell and also the CASAFA Super League as well. Can we expect something from them as well this season?
Yes, I know that they're recruited. I haven't gotten the full slate yet, but I know that they've recruited a number of young players, eager players, people who fit the mold of the camp, the way that they function, the way that Rudolph Speed likes to have his team. He likes to have young players who are unafraid, and they will be going guns blazing to do well. I expect that they will have what it takes to remain in the league. The question is how they go about executing it. But I'm expecting them to have a strong presence in the league this season for sure.
Certainly. And let's touch a bit internationally where that is concerned as well, where in the Gold Cup squad for the Reggae Boys, 10 of the 23 players were made up of local players who played in the Red Stripe Premier League. Those players, Damien Hyatt, Kevin Lambert, Michael Binns, Ricardo Morris, Owain Gordon, Ladale Ritchie, Rosario Harriott, Johan Grandison, Jermaine Johnson and Shamar Nicholson. Compared to the Gold Cup that we had in 2015 that was under Winfred Schaefer, we had two local players. That was Andre Clennon, who was at Arnett Gardens at the time, and in addition to him, Alan Otti. Now, we've seen the bulk of these squads, especially in the Caribbean Cup as well. We had a good mix as well of local players. And on the international stage in this big tournament, they certainly played out of their skins and represented Jamaica proudly.
It warmed my heart to see so many people who played in the Red Stripe Premier League go and play in that competition in the Gold Cup. And we got to the final. Most people never expected that at all. And even during the competition, they came under so much pressure from the local fans who were at them, who were constantly at them. But I was on the station during the competition talking about it, about giving the boys a chance to represent. And they did just that. We fell one short at the final against the US, but kudos to the team that did so very well. Andre Blake, he was the keeper of the tournament, and he got hurt in the final, and some people think it cost us. But either way, I am very, very pleased to see what we would consider to be a local aggregation representing at the Gold Cup, doing so very well and making Jamaica proud.
And I think about Shamar Nicholson. Yes, he did not play in the Gold Cup itself, but we saw him in the Caribbean Cup as well, scored in the penalty shootout against French Guiana. He's now made a move to NK Domzale in Slovenia. And think about his goals last season for Boys Town. They virtually kept him up, kept the Red Brigade up in the season.
15 goals. Where they're going to replace that, I don't know, because this young man has been playing for them since he was 16 years old. He credits Andrew Price for giving him the opportunity to play. He's very thankful for it. And he's played in the league until he's become 20 years old. So he's played in his senior teenage years and developed as a player. I've always liked him. I've always spoken about him, and I constantly speak to him. And I'm expecting him to grab the opportunity with both hands. I really hope that he goes on to have a good time in Europe. It's not going to be easy. I spoke to him about the weather and the food and all these things, and he reminded me that he's been to Europe already. And so it's not something that's going to be brand new for him. He's ready for the challenge. He wants to go out there and represent not only for himself but his community of Trenchtown. So he's looking forward to that opportunity, and I'm looking forward to him doing very well and to continue to give hope to people of his age group, young players, to believe that, listen, if I work hard, if I keep my head down, if I do what the coach asks of me, which is to go out and deliver according to the game plan each week, then good things will come. And that's what has happened for him, and I'm very proud of him.
Certainly. So Boys Town, the team that he has left, Boys Town, they're expected to play Humble Lion in the opening weekend of the Premier League. That will be at Barbican Complex. Another two players that played locally in the Red Stripe Premier League last season have also made moves. That is Kevin Lambert, who we saw at Montego Bay United for a few games. He's now at Phoenix Rising in the USL. And also Owain Gordon, another Montego Bay United player at San Antonio FC. Talk about these two players. Although Lambert, for the lesser extent, didn't play much, but you can see his sort of presence and dominance in the heart of midfield. Owen Gordon, his trickery as well, both assets for Jamaica moving forward, and they've made the jump from the Red Stripe Premier League into the professional ranks, you could say, USL League.
Yeah, Lambert's presence is what coaches look for. Very few players want to sit in the hole and do the hard work. So when you find a player that has that instinct, that you don't have to tell him, don't rush out, don't leave the back line, don't leave your defenders exposed. You don't have to say that to Lambert. He knows his role. He wants to play this role. So people snap him up. Even though, like you said, he didn't play a lot, but when somebody spots talent and they know it's hard to get, they're going to go after it. Owen Gordon, he has been one of the top strikers, not only for Montego Bay United, but in the country for a long time. I don't expect him to stay in Jamaica for any long period of time in between contracts. So even if he doesn't hit the ground running at any one club, the time will come when he'll find that place where he gets to shine. But he is a true talent. He works hard, he scores goals, he plays for the team. The kind of player that you want. He doesn't appear to be a high maintenance type of player, and that's what you want. And like I say, it's about chemistry. Sometimes you go to a club, it doesn't exactly work out exactly how you want it, but as long as you keep working, and he is a worker. So at some point in time, he's going to find the right club with the right coach and start scoring a goal a game, and they won't let him go.
Yes, and just a reminder as well, Owen Gordon, he was actually the top scorer in the Premier League in the 2015-16 season. He had 19 goals that year. In fact, 2 of the last 3 seasons, we've had Montego Bay United players being the top scorers in the league. Dino Williams was a year before that, and last season it was Jermaine Johnson with 16 goals to his credit. Let's talk a bit about Portmore United. After the season in June, they had to be back up in action again in August. That was in the CONCACAF League based on their performances in the CFU Club Championship. They had those 2 games experiences under the belt. Yes, they got past Plaza Amador 1-0. They went abroad. They lost 1-0. Got out on penalty kicks. I was a bit concerned as well going into these matches, a bit of rustiness because the league had been done for a number of weeks now. With those 2 games under their belt, would you say that could have any positive impact going into this new season for Portmore?
If so, it would be mental but not physical, because the time between those playoffs and the start of this league, things would have been so much more different for them. But they would have had that experience and will be able to point to it and say, we want to get back there and we want to get better results next time. So let's hit the ground running, get a good start to the Premier League so they can be there or thereabouts again. And, it's going to have the same format. So you want to finish top 2 so that you don't have too much stress going into the final round.
All right, we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with the Red Star Premier League Roundup show. So, Dwayne, we were speaking earlier about Portmore United. Let's switch focus now to the Stars of the East. We saw the injection of experience that they had at the latter part of last season with the likes of Macaulay Tulloch, Luton Shelton, Kevon Frater, Sean Francis, and the impetus that they added to the team. This season, Shelton is not going to be at the start. That is what we know of. But these players certainly gave Harbourview a lift when they were lingering and even with the relegation. But they're able to get themselves out of trouble, as last season they finished somewhere around 9th that last season. That's right. They got 36 points, and them and Boys Town were close with Marvelly and Jamalco that season. But Harbourview, can we expect anything from them? Because they have won the league for quite a number of times as well, 4 of them, 4 titles.
Yeah, they will have a couple of the senior players back to start the season, and I think that will matter a lot. They went with youth for much of the season, but the experienced players helped them to get out of trouble. I expect them to have a better start this season, and if they do, then certainly they'll be in contention, because it's a club with pedigree. It's a club that's well run. They know how to get the job done. They know how to win competitions. They know how to balance themselves and to make it happen. Ricardo Baby Gardner will be at the helm this season, so it's his first big test as a Premier League coach. We all know what he did as a player for the Reggae Boys at the World Cup level and in England, and he did so very, very well for Bolton Wanderers, and even captained the team. So we'll get to see him in charge. He worked with Ludlow Bernard. He was the assistant to Ludlow Bernard up to last season, but he now has the reins, and he now gets to impose his style on the team, and it'll be interesting to see. I really want to see them. I want to see them 4 or 5 times before I pass any kind of judgment, but I want to see what he brings in terms of his tactical news, what he learned from what he learned as a player in England, how different it will be, and it's going to be exciting to watch Harbourview, I'm certain, this season.
Certainly. And speaking about new managerial changes as well, Portmore United has also made a shift as well. Linville Rudy Dixon is no longer at the helms. It is now Shavar Thomas, who played for Jamaica at the Under-20 World Cup back in 2001, also captained Jamaica's team at the Gold Cup in 2011 as well. Surprising appointment in your opinion?
Yes, it is. It's a surprising appointment. Shavar does not have a lot of experience at this level, but sometimes you have to make the decisions, and you have to trust people, and it's an opportunity for him also as a young man and a former reggae boy to hold his hand up, show what he knows tactically as a coach. He's coaching the schoolboy football level as well. So we'll get to see him at this level, pitting with some of the more experienced coaches, and it will be exciting to see. I'm happy to see this happening, to see the youngsters being given a chance at the helm to show that they are capable, not only on the field but off the field, running clubs and making things happen. So I want to see all these youngsters getting the responsibility, getting the chance. I hope we don't have any quick managerial changes. People, changing their minds. I know we don't want to go with this, we don't want to go with that. Give them a chance to express themselves so we can see what it is that they're made of.
And another fixture that we have on for this weekend as well is UWI, our alma mater, is taking on Waterhouse. Talk about the amazing progress that UWI made last season. Their first season, they finished somewhere in the top 6 thereabouts. Last season, they were literally points away from Humble Lion at the top of the table. The rise has been meteoric, and at the same time, the football that they have been playing has been quite pleasing as well. So credit to Fuzzy and Andrew Peart for the work that they've been doing, you'd say?
Absolutely. When you mentioned that Sanders will be playing Arnett Gardens in their first game. In their first game in the league, UWI played against Arnett Gardens on the lights, on TV, and they were thrashed 4-0. It's not a game that anybody will forget, but they responded. They finished 5th, like you said, just outside of the knockout round that time. And last season, they actually got to the knockout round. So what Marcel Gale has done at UWI is nothing short of tremendous. He knows his players. He knows how to get the best out of them. They recruited very well in terms of getting additional players from outside of the university setup, and they've done very, very well. It will be good to see. It will be exciting to see what they do in season 3, because they know what it is like now. They've experienced knockout football. The question is, do they have that energy to make another run for it and try and get into the final?
And their opponents for this weekend as well, Waterhouse, we saw them linger at the foot of the table as well. We saw Jermaine Tuffy Anderson in and out of the team as well. A lot of different new faces and personnel as well. Perhaps needed a bit more time to gel. How would you see this club throughout the course of this season?
Last season, Waterhouse didn't know if they were coming or they were going. They couldn't decide on a policy, whether it was youth or experience. And it cost them, and almost cost them dearly. They struggled. This season, they now start. Glendon Admiral Bailey has a full slate. He started, his job last year was to keep them up. He did that. This season, he's brought in 16 players, a lot of good players. And he now has a full mandate. He now has a full opportunity. He's asked for what he wanted. He's gotten them. He now has a chance to show them that he can win somewhere other than Tivoli Gardens. So he's an exciting coach who likes to try things, so it'll be good to see what it is that they can bring to the table. Now, Marcel Gale is someone who is from Waterhouse. He's a Waterhouse born and bred person. He was at the club for a long time as an assistant coach. Whenever UWI plays Waterhouse, it's a big deal. It doesn't matter how many times they play. Every time they play, it's a big deal, because the fans from Waterhouse love him. They love what he has done for their football. They will always be grateful to him for what he's done. So it's mixed emotions for the fans. You can hear it from them, but it will be an exciting game. It will be, two good coaches, and it will be at UWI. So it's a chance for UWI to start the season strongly, but also a chance for Waterhouse to start away from the pressure of home and to try and get 3 points. So I'm expecting an exciting game. I don't think it will be cagey. I think both teams on the first day of the season will want to go for it, to set the tone. So I'm expecting it to be an exciting game. I think this is the one that I'll actually go and watch, because I want to see what these two teams have to offer.
Regardless of the result, it will certainly be an exciting affair at the UE Bowl. And the last fixture for the weekend, Reno taking on Tivoli. Reno surprised many last season. They finished 7th, just outside the playoff positions with 39 points. But a problem that I had from them last season is where the goals were going to come from. Yes, we saw a lot from playing the Route 1 football, set pieces, etc. But do they have a player that can get them, say, 12 to 15 goals this season? That is going to be critical for them.
That is exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. That's key. Having somebody who will get 15 to 20, I would suggest, 15 to 20 goals that will help them to get into the playoffs and be serious challengers. Inconsistency cost them dearly last season because there were times when they were knocking right on the door of Arnott Gardens. There were times when they had the opportunity to knock out Arnott Gardens, and at that time, at that moment, 2 or 3 times when it was boiling down, they missed the opportunity. Arnott took the opportunity and won the league. So they must be looking at it and said, what if we were in that particular position? It could have been us. So I'm certain the coaching staff, led by Wendell Downswell, will be looking at this situation and saying to ourselves, we need to find it. We need to find the answer. 2 or 3 players that will get between themselves 30 goals for the club, and we can make a difference this season.
They'll certainly be looking for something like that. And also Tivoli Gardens with Jermaine Johnson. He scored 16 goals last season, their leading goal scorer. It's an interesting one because you have a player, Jermaine Johnson, who, yes, 37 years of age, but he's still scoring the goals for Tivoli, doing well at this level. Would you say he needs some help for this season? We saw Elton Thompson chip in as well for Tivoli Gardens last season. Can they have a different dimension to how they play? What can Tivoli do to get themselves back into title contention from last season?
I'll put it to you that it was not the players on the pitch that was the issue for Tivoli last season. It was the coach. When Omar left and went to Europe to study, it cost Tivoli. His influence, I kept speaking about it, Omar Edwards, let me call his full name.
Yes.
When his influence, he came into the club last year and his influence was immediate. He got the team playing an exciting brand of football, fast-paced football, attacking football, and they scored goals. He allowed Teddy to play his type of football. Teddy rediscovered his form. He scored goals. Elton Thompson was scoring goals. There players coming off the pitch scoring goals, and everything was going swellingly well. Then Omar went to Europe, and it was just not the same. And they came off the boil, and they missed out on playoff football, which I think, had they been in the mix, they would have been genuine title contenders. Omar is back. He would have learned a lot, and it's now for him to transmit that back to the players, back out on the field, and let's see what they do. I'm expecting them to have a very good season based on what I saw last year.
Certainly, Omar Edwards, the former under-17 coach for Jamaica, you'd have garnered a lot of experience in Europe for sure. Now, based on, Jermaine Johnson, of course, the top scorer for Tivoli last season. The last time a Tivoli player was the leading goal scorer in the league, we have to go back to 04-05 with Christopher Nicholas, who netted 25 goals that season. Now, Dwayne, as we have wrapped up these 6 games going into the season, would you say there's one team or two that you could say, yes, they are the title challengers, or a team that you could say, well, they need to add a few additions so that they don't get dragged into the relegation battle for the season?
No, I think we have to see after maybe 4 or 5 rounds, because a lot of players have moved from club to club. You know what it is in Jamaica? It's a small league. Players change. They get, for one reason or another, get the itch to move, and so we'll have to get a look, see what this team's line up and look like this season, and then after maybe 4 or 5 rounds, we will be able to see what it is that we can expect from the big clubs, the ones who expect to be contenders from year to year. All
right, fair enough. I'll put it to you this way. Is there a particular player or team that you're looking forward to watch this season, to play football this season?
Yes, I want to see Sandals. I want to see what they have to offer as a new team in the league. I want to see what Aaron Lawrence can do with this young, exciting team. I like when new teams come in and add freshness to the league, I'm expecting them to go after it, to go full guns blazing and try and make a fist of it. So I want to see them in particular. I want to see also Harbourview and Portmore with their new young coaches to see what it is that they can bring to the table. So that's what I want to see. I want to see the new stuff, not the same old, same old. My eyes will first be trained on what the new ones have to offer.
Dwayne, really thank you very much for this. I really appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for tuning in, all listeners. And next week we'll be wrapping up these fixtures with the results, as well as previewing next week as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and bye-bye for now.